Well, Cape Town has been rocked by multiple mass shootings in the past week. On Monday, 5 people were killed in Gugulethu, while 3 others were fatally shot in Ravensmead a day later. And just yesterday, another 5 people murdered in Gugulethu. Well, what's behind these incidents? Western Cape Community Safety and Police Oversight MEC Reagen Allen joins us. Reagen, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Firstly, what's driving these mass murders that we are seeing?
Kathy, it has been a devastating week. Like you have correctly indicated, that there has been 3 mass shootings here in our province. If I track back into the last quarter, there was 8 for that particular quarter, and it is never something that we would want in our province. We have seen that the motives for these particular mass killings has been linked to gangs, which is one of our key strategies that we are working alongside the South African Police Service, wanting to ensure that we can dismantle organized crime and gang activities in communities. But it's devastating considering that this week we've had 3.
Have you been able to get any more insight around what's behind these killings? I know you say that they related to gangs, but what in particular? Because it's not new that, you know, we have a high proliferation of gangs in the Western Cape, and there have been different strategies over the years to try and really combat that.
Kathy, 2 parts to that particular question. The one is that here in the Western Cape since January up until March, we saw a 14.1% reduction in murders. We then saw between April and June a 5.5% reduction. Those are reductions that we have welcomed, considering that there is integration, that there is collaboration between the City of Cape Town, SAPS, and our department, Police Oversight and Community Safety. We have seen that when there is poker investigations, when there is gang members that are taken out of a particular community, there is rivals that would want to take certain territory, that would want to enlarge their particular camp, and that has led to flare-ups in these communities. Another sad reality is that we have seen when there is extortion-related matters, when one particular grouping finds themselves to be busy with illegal activities by extortion, and then another grouping taking each other out. And it is devastating considering that we are actually have demanded that we are wanting to see an additional complement in terms of the anti-gang unit to be allocated to our province. We currently have 175 of our anti-gang unit members. The Western Cape government deems that to be too little, considering that we have approximately over 100,000 gang members in our province, and we would never want any of our young people to go into gangsterism. That's why we have the Western Cape Safety Plan that looks at the violence prevention component, but also looks at law enforcement and policing.
Would you say that officials, you and the rest of your officials, have had any kind of impact on the problem in the community? And it's really around extortion, right? Because this affects the ability of ordinary citizens to go about their daily lives without having to worry about the fact that they may be targeted if they're not participating in what is inherently an illegal system.
Kathy, we have actually seen amazing strides in terms of our approach towards extortion. And like I've indicated in the last quarter, extortion-related matters drastically reduced in our province. We are advocating to continue working with communities. So if there's any particular person or any grouping that finds themselves that they are extortion-related matters or wanting to extort businesses or community members, once those matters are reported, and even anonymously, we will be following up, because that information will ultimately be analyzed so that it can be operationalized to ensure that these members are behind bars. Kathy, one of the biggest known extortionist that was in the Khayelitsha area is currently behind bars, and we have seen the Khayelitsha area drastically reduce in extortion-related matters, and that's why we are consistently also asking for detective services to be ramped up so that these people that are committing these heinous crimes are ultimately held accountable and get a hefty sentence, because we wouldn't want any of our community members to be tormented in that particular way.
So what happens in the interim, right? You've got one of the kingpins behind bars, but there's still many other communities where extortion is still very much the order of the day, including in a place like Khayelitsha, because these rings have become so embedded in the community, right? So what then do you do?
And especially now, with regards to Gugulethu, we have seen even though murder is reducing in our province, Gugulethu saw an increase. And we have LEAP officers working alongside the South African Police Service in the Gugulethu area. I have been informed early this morning that a number of persons are being tracked, and I trust that arrest is imminent in that particular matter, because these arrests will send a strong message to other would-be criminals and would-be offenders, considering what we have seen in Khayelitsha. Arrest is a key deterrent, considering that a solid case must be brought before court so that they are, firstly, denied bail, and that is what the state is also opposing in all particular extortion-related matters, but so that a conviction can ultimately occur to send that particular strong message and that justice is served.
Let's talk about tomorrow's march that's taking place, held by the EFF and other supporting parties. What are you planning and anticipating for?
Kathy, on Wednesday, myself, together with a number of cabinet ministers and MECs here in the Western Cape, met with top management in the South African Police Service and the City of Cape Town, together with all our district mayors as well. The state of readiness was discussed, and I can confirm that the operational plan is in place. We are adamant that we would never want to allow that there is a state of anarchy, that there is a state of violence in our province. And that particular march has a particular route. It has a set number of persons that can participate. And we have seen, Kathy, that the EFF has consistently advocated for shutdown. Shutdown goes against the Constitution, because you can never allow any particular person to protest, and then that protest leads to interfering with other people's rights. So we would want that to be peaceful, and we are working with the South African Police Service and law enforcement and Metro Police here in the City of Cape Town as well. So we would want that to be peaceful, because we cannot allow violence and political parties to be opportunistic, and for political parties that we have seen even in Parliament be extremely violent. So we are monitoring that, and we trust that tomorrow the Western Cape government, together with all our stakeholders, including the South African Police Service, will ensure that there is law and order.
Have you been engaging with any of the parties that are responsible for this march, including the EFF?
We have had engagements, and we have also seen public comments where a number of political parties have now, up until an hour ago, withdrew from that particular shutdown or march, as it has been echoed by a number of people, and that is welcomed. I think political parties must be aware, Kathy, that whenever there is protest action, and here in our province, we actually saw 41 protest action that was deemed to be unrest. And that is a core diversion in terms of the South African Police Service. That's resources that's being taken from one area to another area, and that ultimately depletes what we are trying to do in areas like Gugulethu and in Khayelitsha and in Mitchell's Plain. So it comes at a cost, and we would want to caution political parties to not be opportunistic, not be violent, but ultimately use the mechanisms that our democracy affords so that issues can be dealt with. The taxi task team is doing amazing work, and there's steady progress in that regard. So we wouldn't want the silly season of politics and the election that is approaching next year to be used in order to gain cheap political points. We have consistently shown here in the Western Cape that we are open to engaging, but we want law and order to be maintained.
All right, we'll leave it there for tonight. Western Cape Community Safety and Police Oversight MEC, Reagen Allen.